Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa Budzynski from Gilda's Club Grand Rapids, and I'm so glad to be with you today on this Facebook Live. Thanks for joining us. If you're here and you're listening, let us know. Just make a note down in the comment area or like this Facebook Live, and because we'd love to hear from you, and we love it when we know that other people are watching. So we're so glad to have with us today Shawn Root. Now I'm going to mess up your last name, Shawn from Gilda's Club. She's the development director and engagement director. Shawn, it's great to have you with us.
Thanks, Melissa. I'm excited to be here with you today.
That's great. So today we're going to bring you a family workshop, and it's about changes. And we're just going to talk a little bit about changes in the natural world, changes in our own personal world, changes that are just happening around us and within us. Um, and sometimes those changes are expected, and sometimes there's surprises, and we don't have a lot of control over them. And so we're just going to chat a little bit about that. We have a great book that Shawn is going to read for us. We're so grateful for that. And I guess with that, I'll let you start reading, Shawn.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm excited to share with you this book by Mary Casanova called Hush, Hush, Forest. And we'll see if I can advance the page here. Sorry.
That's okay. We know that our audience gives us a lot of grace because there's a lot of technical issues that can happen.
Thank goodness, because I'm a rookie here. So I think we got it now to the opening page.
You're doing great.
This book is for Olivia and her parents who love her, mother for tending the fire, wife for affording me the time, daughter so marvelous, no woodcut rivals. Such a beautiful introduction. As we read our bedtime stories, blankets tucked beneath our chin, golden leaves twirl past our windows, shadows lengthen, fall set in. Speckled stars on agile diver, moon sings one last lullaby. Woo-hoo. Sharp teeth, strong jaws, beaver builds a cozy lodge. Soon the aspen leans and drops, sturdy branches, leafy tops. One last sip, then off he flies to warmer breezes, sunny skies. Darting, zipping, hummingbird, whirling wings and ruby throat. Bandit masks and stealthy paws, raccoon gobbles, crawfish claws, waist grows fat and pelt grows thick, wash and preen, whiskers clean. Doe and fawn, bed lie down on dry leaves, sheltered from a bitter wind. Bucks tests his strength against a trunk, then rubs the scrape to prove he's won. Wings unfurled, bat swoops and sweeps, but no mosquitoes can be found. She flits to find her colony and roosts above the frozen ground. Northern lights, like wisps of fire, flash and flare across the sky. Blue, green, yellow, and now pink, flicker, dance, and mystify. Owls survey from edge of cedars, eyes glow bright in the moon's cold beam. Wings stretch wide, she dips and glides, rabbit scurries, rabbit hides. Bear stands huffing, snorting warning, popping jaws to the coast is clear. Calls down cubs, it's time to den. She gently paws and draws them in. As you close your eyes in slumber, snowflakes slowly drift and spin. Your heart beats an ancient drum. Hush, hush, forest, winter's come. The end.
Oh, that was great, Shawn. Thank you so
Such a
much.
nice book.
Yeah. What was something that struck you or your favorite part?
I really liked the part, I think, about the hummingbirds. It's relevant right now, as in my household, we were just talking about taking down our last fill of the hummingbird feeder. So just thinking about sending them off to warmer places.
Yeah. Oh, how neat. I noticed, just a little caveat is that I had those pages mixed up for the hummingbird, but
Oh, I didn't even notice.
things happen, right?
My
Changes,
favorite part.
changes, right? Yeah. Oh, that's such a neat thing. It's always an excitement in our house when the hummingbirds first arrive in spring. And so that I love that intentional sending off of of them. And yeah, that's neat.
And the illustrations are just were so beautiful in that book.
Oh, they're just really stunning. Yeah. And the prose is just so gentle and kind and to the point. I love that. And I love the mix of our own um, getting ready for the change into winter. This autumn creates a moment of change, and that the natural world does that. And so they just walk side by side together in that book. Yeah. So we all know that change happens, and it really often, as humans, it's something that we have the hardest time with. But in actuality, it is our constant companion. Change is our constant companion. Every day is different. Every moment sometimes is different. And certainly in this time of autumn, the seasons, the earth changes and is different. Sometimes in our life, we have changes that we didn't expect. Maybe someone in our life died unexpectedly, or someone was diagnosed with an illness. And there are a lot of changes that come with both of those things and a lot of shifting. We as a society right now really stepped into this moment of an unexpected change with all of this COVID. And we've done that worldwide. It's not just one community over another. All of us worldwide have had to sort of stop and change and shift and adjust to this change of how we're going to interact with our world, how keeping ourselves safe, keeping others safe. Um, really had to slow down and think about those changes. And so we've already done that, and we're continually doing that. So now, in addition to not only our natural world changing, our physical world is changing and has changed. So lots and lots of um, change, shifting, adjusting during this time in our lives. So we're going to do an activity today. It's just a real gentle activity, one of noticing, of slowing down a little bit, of just kind of paying attention. So I'm going to give you three things to do actually. Is I'd love to invite you to just go outside. I walked around my yard. You could walk around your neighborhood, maybe on your way back to and from the store or something, wherever you're going to. But just to take a moment to notice. Notice what's happening in the trees. Notice what's happening with the weather. Maybe even the squirrels. I've noticed our squirrels have gotten more frantic in our yard, and I have all these little holes all over my yard now and in my potted plants because they're frantically burying things or burying them and unburying them. I'm not really sure how they manage that. Are you noticing that too, Shawn?
I am. I have one of those little squirrel picnic tables in my yard.
Oh, yeah.
They're making some laps around that for sure.
Yes, yeah. So they're really feeling the pressure, squirrels are, of this impending winter coming. And so really trying to get themselves in shape and do that kind of thing. So kind of noticing the animals, if there's, birds that you're noticing that are doing something different than they were before, and that, or some things aren't showing up that used to be there, flowers or that kind of thing. So just kind of paying attention to what is happening with the earth and around you. And then pay attention to maybe the people in your neighborhood or people that you know, or even the adults that you live with. Are they doing something different? Is there different activity outside that they're doing now as opposed to a couple weeks ago, even? Um, I know at our house, we're just starting to put our gardens to bed. So we're, digging things up, raking things out. So we're doing different activities. Um, and is there something different that you're doing in the outside world now that it's, now that the seasons have changed? So just paying attention and maybe picking up one or two things that remind you of that. That things are changing in the outside world. So the second activity is to take a moment to do that same thing around your house. Just take a walk around your house, looking and seeing what things are different in your house right now. Maybe there's some changes because someone in your house is ill, with COVID or with cancer or with something else. Have there been shifts and changes around the kinds of things you might have on your counter, the kinds of food that you might be eating, maybe a calendar or cards from people? Maybe your person is home, sitting on the couch more often, the TV is on more often, that kind of thing. So, what kind of changes are happening within your house? It could also happen if when someone has died in your life, maybe your family isn't doing activities that you used to do, or you're doing more activities um, around that person's death, and maybe going to their house, cleaning out their house, or um, meeting with family more often, that kind of thing. So, what kinds of shifts and changes have happened within your house? And then I just would encourage you to pick up one or two things that represent those changes happening within your house. Have you noticed any changes, Shawn, in your house?
I was just thinking about that as you were talking through, and one for sure that's reflective of the season is the gathering of additional shoes and coats.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
just, going from potentially going outside in bare feet or sandals to boots or things for wet pavement and wet ground, and then coats, starting to be on the hooks that weren't there just
Yeah.
a month or so ago.
Oh, that's great. So needing to shift things around so there's some room to
But I
put.
guess this Saturday I probably won't need them, so I could put them away for a little bit. It's supposed to be so nice, so we'll
Yeah.
see.
So we're certainly in this moment of swing, right? That some things we need, some things we don't, and sometimes we need it, sometimes we don't. Yeah. Yeah. That's how our entryway looks at the moment. We've got both winter and summer things out. Yeah, that's great. That's great observation and change in your house. So the third thing is to just take a moment of being quiet and going inside yourself for a second, maybe just a couple of deep breaths, 5 minutes, and just tapping into noticing, being curious about what changes internally have you had? Changes in how you feel, changes in your perspective on certain things, shifts and changes about how you see yourself, see the world, feel about particular things. Might be that you've changed grades and you're feeling older and maybe feeling more pressure about schoolwork or that kind of thing. Might be that someone in your life died and you have sadness and grief where there wasn't before. Um, or someone has been diagnosed with cancer and maybe you've even had that they've finished chemo and they're feeling good and there's no evidence of disease and you're feeling happy and things are starting to move out of that treatment phase and into just more survivalship and so or survivorship. I said that wrong. So just tap into what are some changes, something that's different inside of you. And then when you've done that, maybe just find something that represents that for yourself and that you can tell someone if you want to that this represents this because of that. Have you noticed any changes in yourself since it could be COVID or anything?
Yeah, I think just the struggle as the seasons change and the days get a little darker. There's
Yeah.
always that adjustment period to that change too. And I'm still startled sometimes in the morning, if I'm leaving to go somewhere and it's not light yet, like, oh boy, this is, here we go. Or it's getting darker. Why can't we practice something outside at 6:30? Oh, it's getting too dark, so it's making that adjustment. And I think inside you're just grieving that sunlight too.
I noticed that especially last night at 6 p.m. it was dark. And I was like, what? How did that happen?
It happened really quickly.
It does feel like it happens quickly. Yeah. So there is this adjustment, and I have to remind myself that it's not just time to go to bed, but that, it's 6 o'clock. Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. Well, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. I have a couple of things that I want to share with you that I found around. Let's see if you can get it. I picked up a leaf that was in my yard, representative. There is a maple tree that starts literally in August, that's in our neighbor's yard, starts changing. And it always is the first sign that the seasons are changing. It'll get this one branch will just get a different color. And so I have a leaf because that's always our first indication. And then this is, I think they call it bittersweet, but it grows in our yard and these open up and they become yellow and red. And it is always one of my favorite things about the fall. And then I cut them and put them around my house as decorations and they're there all year. So it's just starting this year to yellow up. So it's almost time to clip those. So I love those. And then I looked around my house to see what kinds of things I had that represent change for me. And this is one of those things, is that I never had masks around my house ever before. I never wore one. Well, okay. I guess I did have some when we were sanding and doing work around the house, but not like this, not made out of made by a friend and made out of a cool material. So this is new, and this really represents for me a big change in our household and how we do things and who comes over and who doesn't come over and how we bring groceries in and where we go. And I'm working from home, and that was a big change. And it's still a big change, especially since we're going on probably longer than I had thought, but that this adjustment feels to me anyway like it's a constant sort of adjustment, a constant change, a constant having to tap in and figure that. So and then I'm just going to pick up something from in back here, but I have this around. This is a picture. It's a what do you call it? So you put your cups on it. Yeah. Coaster. Thank you. Word. And that's my dad. And he died about 5 years ago. Well, 5 years ago at the end of this month. And so I didn't have this around before, but this was a great picture taken by a local agency of him. And we just loved it. And so I made it into a coaster. So every day my dad helps me with work. And right now he's holding up my computer so that it doesn't flop over. And so that is well, now it's going to tip over. That was a big change for me, is his death and that adjustment to him, um, not being with us. So that's for that. And then my internal changes is I just have this rock. I did a wrap on this rock, and I changed this rock by wrapping this oh, I forget what it's called. See, words are just not coming to me today. But cane. It's cane. That's it. Yeah. And then I put a stick in it that was significant to me, but it really represents that piece of going in and wrapping around myself and changes, and then going out again into the world and then coming in. And that it's a natural thing to have a flow of change, and that happens within me often, and that I take with that supports, because this rock is a support and that branch is a support, but that I need supports also. I need other people and to talk about things, and to reflect for my own self on those things. So I'm going to suggest, when you gather all of those things around, that you just make a little area in your house, in your room, wherever you want, wherever is appropriate for you, and that you set these items out there as long as somebody doesn't need them, and use them as a reminder that we can thrive through changes. That these changes of COVID, that even though maybe I didn't want to wear a mask, or I didn't want to have to do all of this, but I do it anyway, and I can make those changes, and I can thrive through that, and I can wear something fun that my friend made for me, and enjoy that. And that we every year we survive the change of our season, just like that picture in back of me, that the earth doesn't ask me permission about whether she can change or not. It happens. Right, Shawn? The birds don't ask our permission to whether they can come or go. But I always am able to roll with those changes. I might not like them. It might be a little bit difficult. It's harder to put on shoes than it is sandals. It's not as much fun to wear a heavy coat as it is to, just go outside in a t-shirt. But I can find those things that I do enjoy about those changes, and the positives, and the good things, and the strength I have within me, and that you have within you, that you've already done this. You already are master at changes and shifting and adjusting to things that are different. And so this little collection of things that you can put in a place, I hope that it reminds you that you are a master at changes, that you can adjust. You are strong, you are resourceful, you can figure things out, and continue on. just like the earth does every year, because eventually spring comes back and the trees bud and the hummingbirds come back and the bears come out of their dens and we can take off our shoes and wiggle our toes in the grass and so we know that that change is coming too, so we can keep a little bit of hope for the future. So any other thoughts, Shawn, that you have?
I would just say, and Melissa, you probably were going to do this in a wrap up. So if I'm jumping in on some of yours, is just that, that Gilda's Club exists to walk alongside of people who are experiencing change. And, by watching today, whether you're first time hearing about us or, are familiar with our mission, that we want to ensure that this community doesn't have to face changes of a cancer diagnosis or the death of someone in their life, that we're there to help with that life change.
Yeah. Oh, totally agree. And such an honor to do that for our community. I really feel just so lucky to work at a place where we really, our focus is just to connect people together and to give that kind of support free of charge, free of worry, free of stress, that they can do that. Yeah, so thanks for saying that. And I want to remind everyone that we are 100% virtual right now, which really lends itself to wherever you're at. You can come to our groups. We're accepting new members on a regular basis. We have new member meetings. We have programs for children as well as families. So if you're curious or interested or you have a need, just give us a call at 453-8300 or look us up online at gildasclubgr.org. We'd love to chat with you and talk with you about our program and get you connected. Yeah, I think that's really all we have. We're so glad that you could join us, Shawn. Thank you very much for that beautiful reading.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And if you really enjoyed this program, we ask that you share it with your friends on Facebook, that you like it and share it. If you have something to tell us about, please just let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. So with that, hopefully we'll see you next week. All right, take care.
Bye, everyone.